Hey y'all, I'm your host, Brooke Kinchin. Welcome to God's Coffee Call, a place where there's always a fresh brewed conversation happening of personal testimony and life experiences. So grab a cup of coffee, pull a chair to the table, and join our conversation. Hey everybody, welcome back to God's Coffee Call. I am your host, Brooke Kinchin, and I want to thank you for joining us again this week. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much for hitting that button. Can I ask you to like this and share it as well over onto your social media platforms? If this is your first time here and you just happen to find us, take a moment, hit that button, because every week we upload a new episode of God's Coffee Call. And now that all that is over, let's get into our program today. Today, I sit at the table with an honored guest. This is a young lady I met almost 2 years ago. June will be 2 years ago. Yeah. And wow, wow is all I can say. And by the end of this episode, you too will be saying, wow. I just want to set the groundwork. This is Kalyn. I work with Kalyn. We work together. And before I let her share, I want to share a little bit. 2 years ago, I found myself at our current job, our company. It was a corporate job that I did not really want to go to, but financially just needed to change where I was. And so I went, and that was a very big transition of my life season. Lots of things were shifting and changing. I had so generously sang the song, "Give Me Jesus. I don't need anything else. You can have it all. Just give me Jesus." And well, Jesus held me to that, and he took everything. I had my family and my house and my car. And that's what I was left with at the moment. And my heart was broken. I was undone, having to go into a job that I did not want to go into, but I had to, just responsibility wise. And I remember sitting at my desk, and probably the first 3 months of that job, I cried in the bathroom every day. Every day I cried, going, "God, really? Like, this is what I'm doing now, huh?" And the Lord said, yeah. And he brought me to Genesis 39, and he reminded me of Joseph in Potiphar's dungeon. And he reminded me that even though Joseph had done nothing wrong, he still found himself in a place that he didn't necessarily want to be in, but the Lord had a purpose for him being there. And in one of the verses in Genesis 39, it says that, and the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prisons. And the keepers of the prisons of the jail were not concerned of what Joseph was doing. It says they paid no attention to him. And I'm like, okay, well, awesome. I'm not in jail. Like, my job wasn't jail, but at times it felt like that. And the Lord said, I got a purpose for you in the middle of this. And he began to cause me to look around the room with the people that I worked with. And I began to see my purpose. And then he told me to shut up for 6 months and don't say a word. Like, how do you fulfill a purpose and keep your mouth shut at the same time? And there were moments that he'd say, "Speak now." And there were moments that he'd say, "Hush," and just listen. And through that, I watched the lives of several of my coworkers drastically change. And you've seen a few of them here on God's Coffee Call and didn't even know it. There are more to come. I am prophesying that. And today, Kalyn is one of those, and probably one of my favorites. Because I remember the first day we got hired. You got hired like a week before I did. So we were the newbies coming in, and I'm the oldest one in the office. I'm the 46-year-old, and she was the youngest. How old were you at the time?
I was 19.
19 at the time, coming in. And I looked at this girl and I thought, man, I just want to hug her. I just want to hug her. Like, I knew nothing about you except for your name was Kalyn. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to hug her and just hug her with the love of Jesus and whatever she's carrying, for it all just to wash away. And that's the beginning of my introduction to you. And that's all I'm going to say right now because there's so much more to come. So,
Yes.
Kalyn, thanks for being here with me.
Anytime.
I'm so excited. I've asked for over 2 years to do this. And it was always like, we'll see, Miss Brooke, we'll see.
Yes.
And the other day I asked her and she's like, yep, I'm ready. And I broke out in tears. And because there's something so special about this one. Like, that you just carry, and Brandon and I both, you just carry a special place in our heart. And we adore you more than you know. And so your story deserves to be told. And your story is one that I think people would never assume. But also, I think a lot of people watching will see themselves in the middle of it, I think. Yeah. So let's start at childhood.
Okay.
Tell me about childhood, growing up. What was life like?
Honestly, I told my mom about this not too long ago. I don't remember much. I feel like I blacked out a lot of it. But from what I do remember, I grew up in a Christian household. I knew who Jesus was. I'll never say that I had felt the presence of Jesus and truly his love for me growing up. I feel like it was just kind of, we went to church, we prayed before dinner. I saw my mom pray every day and read her Bible, but it wasn't a relationship type of thing.
Right.
So I never really knew who Jesus was. Going into high school, I feel like a lot of my insecurities started showing and kind of coming out of me, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my life I felt unheard, unseen, unworthy. I battled with that a lot.
Was there anything specific that caused that, or was just life in general?
A little bit of life in general and just kind of the people I had in my life. But also a lot of it, I feel like, stemmed from my biological dad leaving. He was never really a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Although the man I do call dad now and who has been in my life since I was 2, he played a big role in my life and like my upbringing. But even as a kid,
Right.
not having your biological dad and growing up not having him, you feel like from a very young age, men will never love you. And as a female, you know, and not having your real dad, it kind of stemmed, like a lot of issues form. And I don't think people realize that. Like, I don't think people realize, oh, like your dad left you when you were 2. Like, you didn't even know him. Like, you had no concept of time.
Yeah.
But over time, it does begin to cause problems. And for me, I had a lot of daddy issues. I did. And I seeked validation from any man that I could get it from. And my junior year of high school, I ended up meeting a guy and fell madly in love with him. Was he the right guy for me? Absolutely not.
First boyfriend, kind of?
First boyfriend, yeah. Well, I had dated a guy in sophomore year for like a month.
But like first love.
Yeah.
Kind of. Gotcha.
So we had met. I was 16 at the time. And my world completely changed. And I think dating him brought a lot of my other issues into play, like a lot of my mental health and more insecurities and lack of worth. He played a big part in that.
Right.
And I truly think it's because I was lacking feeling loved from my family and the people around me that his form of love is what I craved and what I held on to. And we dated for 3 years. And we broke up right after I turned 19. So we were together for a while, but he caused me so much damage. And I think the feelings of unworthiness from my parents and from the people around me only got worse once I dated him, because he brought me down and he tore me down mentally. And I honestly also don't remember a lot from that relationship either, because I feel like, again, I blocked it out. And he reminded me so much of people in my life, and it was heavy. We were on and off for months. We would get together and break up after 6 months, and then we'd break up for 2 months and then get back together and then break up again a few months later. It was a very toxic cycle that I went back to, and I think the only reason I did go back to it for so long was because I felt comfortable, and because that type of love is what I feel like I've always known, in a sense. And then also, I just never thought that I would be worthy of anything else.
Gotcha.
He would cheat on me, and he would say a lot of things that would add on to the me not feeling worthy, and like I was never going to be good enough.
Yeah.
So I kept running back, even though I knew I shouldn't. I kept running back, and I kept trying to make him change and trying to make him do right by me, and he never did. I really don't want to say this, but I feel like I have to. But at one point, he had sexually assaulted me. And I didn't really understand what it was at the time, especially because you're in a relationship. Like, you do it all the time. Like,
Right.
you would never think that it would happen
Yeah.
within a relationship, but it did. And again, I didn't realize what it was. I didn't realize what had happened, so I stayed. And I feel like it happened again multiple times after that, but it's just like, I think I was 18 at the time, so I didn't really understand.
And then it
what
becomes
was
this cycle that we just do, right?
over and over.
Over and over.
And it feels like it never ends. That happened shortly before we broke up for the last time. And I forgot to also add, in the midst of that, one of the times that we were broken up, I had gotten some news about him and some things that had happened. And it broke me, completely shattered me. And I won't ever say what I found out about him, because it involves other people and it's not my story to tell.
Right.
But this news about him and who I thought he was, and the person that I thought he could be, and what I wanted him to be, and the potential that he had, but also being blinded. Like, he was a narcissist. He was very manipulative. Everything that I would call out about him doing wrong to me always got flipped on me, and it always got made my fault. But I'd found out this news and completely flipped my world upside down. And having the feelings of feeling like I'm never going to be good enough for somebody. I'm never going to be good enough for my family. I'm never going to be good enough for my friends. I'm never going to be good enough for men. Having the feelings of unworthiness and battling depression and anxiety, and then finding out this news, like, it was so many things at once piling on top of each other.
Right.
And it drove me to want to commit suicide. And that was my first attempt. And it was October, I remember the day like it was yesterday, October 28th, 2021. And I can wholeheartedly say that the only reason that I'm still here because of that is by the grace of God. And it's because my mom showed up. And she knew, like, she called me and she was like, something's not okay with you. Like, something's wrong. I feel it. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I'm sitting at this boat launch that I go to all the time. And I still go to it to this day because it feels like a safe place for me. But I'm sitting on the ledge of the lake. And I'm, like, planning to jump in. Prior to that, I'm sitting in my car writing my note in my journal.
Wow. Like, we've gotten that far.
Yeah, we were that far. And my mom calls me in the midst of that. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. Like, I can't talk to you right now. Like, I just can't.
Mm.
So I write my letter. I get out, and I'm sitting on the ledge. My mom calls me again, and she's on the phone with me. And I'm like, I'm about to jump. Like, I full planned on jumping and drowning myself, like, not coming back up. And my mom pulls up. Like, she had my location, and she knew something was wrong, and she pulled
Come
up.
on. Mama's talking to Holy Spirit will do a thing.
Yeah. And she pulls up, and she, like, jumps out of the car and comes gets me, and she, like, pulls me off this ledge. And all I remember from that point on is I broke down in her arms, and I told her, I said, Mom, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I'm done. And we sat there for like 10 minutes and just sobbed because I was battling so much mentally.
Yeah.
And I truly felt like I had no purpose in this world. I felt like I was never going to be good enough for somebody. I felt like nothing that I would ever do was going to be good enough. I felt like my love wasn't enough for people. I felt like I had no place in this world.
Right.
And on top of the stuff I was dealing with my ex and just life all around, I just could never see myself building a life here. So I was completely done, and I was ready to let go. So after that,
Let me ask you something about that before we move on, because what you just shared is very serious, and there are people, I'm sure, watching this that have been in that place, that have written that letter. Maybe they've gotten even further, even closer.
Yeah.
It's sitting with their feet on the edge, right? What goes through your mind as you're writing that letter? Like, where mentally, I know you're not in a good place, but are these things of, this is stupid, you shouldn't be doing this? Is there this battle back and forth, or is this like, yes, this is the answer?
for me, in the moments, because that wasn't the first, I mean, it was the first time, but it wasn't the last time that I had tried. So for me, for each instance of like being in that situation where it's like I'm ready, like I'm done, I had no thoughts of other than I'm just done. Like before, like I'm like I can't do that. Like I have family here, I have friends here.
Right.
Like I can't do that. And then like also like I'm scared. Like there's what's after? Because at this point in my life too, like I had known who Jesus was, but we had no relationship. And
Right.
honestly, I wanted nothing to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
I completely shut my doors to who Jesus was and had no intention on getting to know who he was. So not really, it's like, yeah, I grew up knowing what heaven and hell was, but like, I don't really know what it's like.
There was no relationship. It was just,
yeah, but then
right.
it's also like, I'm scared because it's like, I don't want to go to hell if, you know, it's for real. But also too, it's like, if I die, like when I do it, what's it going to be like after?
Right.
Like, so in the moments where it wasn't as bad, yes, I kind of wrestled with like, should I do this? Should I not? But in the moments where it was like, I'm completely done, I don't want to do this anymore, there was nothing but, you've been through this, you feel unworthy, no one's ever going to love you, no one's ever going to put up with you, nobody's ever going to accept you for who you are. All of those thoughts were going through my head, and it just kind of furthered the push of wanting to do that.
Gotcha.
So after that, my mom had showed up, and we went home and pretty much acted like it never happened. Like we didn't talk about it. We didn't.
Wow. No
like,
therapy, no talk
therapy,
about it, no
nothing. It was just,
wow.
we're going to act like this didn't happen. We're going to move forward. And for me, that was okay for me because I didn't want to rehash it. Like I wanted to die.
Got you.
And I didn't. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I want to forget this happened and just keep going on with life and just try to move past it.
Got you.
And obviously that didn't work. So also, I forgot to add too, when I turned 18 in 2021, like before my first attempt, is when I very heavily struggled with drinking. And I was drinking all the time, day in, day out. I was going out to the bars every weekend. I was going to parties. I was hanging around people I shouldn't have been hanging around. So that kind of happened, and it continued all through 2022. Me and my ex had gotten back together again, broke up, gotten back together, broke up. I ended up moving out with him, and we moved all the way to Alabama. I was completely away from everybody I ever knew. I didn't have a job. The only good thing that came out of that was Rue.
Rue.
Which, if y'all know me personally, you know Rue is my world.
Well, she'll send me a picture of her in Rue and we'll put it up.
Yeah.
Because that is your world. That's your baby.
Yeah, that's my baby. But I honestly think that was kind of his plan, because once I moved out and we were together, things only got worse. So I was out there by myself, didn't have a job. I struggled really, really bad with depression. I was just always wanted to be in bed. I didn't want to do anything. Mm-hmm. The most that I would do was I would get up, do my laundry, make sure the house was clean, and make sure I had dinner cooked. That was about the basis of the things that I was doing.
At 18 years old.
At 18 years old. It was very hard. But again, I was completely, I guess, blinded, I guess you could say, mm-hmm. but I wasn't, because like I was aware of who he was and the things that he was doing to me. But at the same time, it's like, this is, in my mind at the time, this is all I think I'm going to ever get. Right. Like, this is all I deserve. So I'm going to stay with him.
Yeah.
So I was just really, really, really depressed, and I was really going through it. We ended up breaking up for the final time in December, I want to say. Found out some more information about him, and just he wasn't completely faithful to the end, which he wasn't faithful the entire relationship. Right. Like, he cheated on me multiple times and made me the bad guy out of it. But I had found out, like, it was extra heavy again, and I was just done at that point. I had battled with it for a couple months and just kind of lingering with it and just letting it sit there in my mind, just kind of eat at me.
Right.
And then finally, New Year's had rolled around, so it was 2023. And January 2nd, I had moved back home the first time we broke up in 2022. And it was like June, July that I had moved back home. So we weren't living together at this point, but January 2nd, I was just done again. Like, everything was piling up. I didn't seek therapy the last time. Nothing was getting better. I was still feeling unworthy. I just never had a place in this world. Mm-hmm. And I drove all the way to Alabama again. I dropped Rue off. My mom's like calling me and texting me like, Kalyn, where are you going? Like, again, like she knew something was wrong. Right. And I just completely ignored her. My brother was calling me, trying to reach out to me. I was ignoring him. Like, people were trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and I just completely shut them out.
Right.
And I dropped Rue off at his house, and I drove to the hospital, because in my mind at this point I was kind of battling. Before I had did it, I was like, should I do it, should I not? So I drove to the hospital just in case, and I sat in the hospital parking lot for 20 minutes, and he's blowing up my phone because I dropped Rue off, and he knew something was wrong. My mom's blowing up my phone, my brother's blowing up my phone. And everybody's just trying to reach out to me. And I'm like, I'm done. Like, y'all only care about me and only want to help me when you feel like something's really wrong.
Right.
And it felt like nobody really cared. Because you could tell something was wrong with me. Yeah. You could tell I was battling something. You could tell in my body. You could tell in my face. Just the way I was. The things that I was doing. And I guess it's kind of on my part at hiding it so well. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, I feel like people should have realized. So I'm in the hospital parking lot. And I had just came to a point where it's like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And I always have a little care kit in my car. I keep like shampoo, conditioner,
of course
toothbrush.
You do. Y'all, this
like,
girl.
All kinds of stuff, just because you never know. You just never know.
You should see her desk at work. She's always got all the things we need.
And in that pack, I had a $2 pack of razors from Target. And it's the only thing close to me that I could feel like would get the job done. And I sit there for literally like 10, 15 minutes trying to struggle and get the blade out. And I'm like using pins, I'm using my nails, I'm using scissors, I'm using everything I can to try to get this blade out so I can hold it. And I get it out and I'm holding it in my hand and I'm looking at my wrist and I'm just like, I'm done. And I go to cut right here, which I'm not going to show it on camera because you can't really see it. But I go to cut like right here where it would be like lethal. And I'm holding it and I go to cut. And again, by the grace of God, I truly wholeheartedly believe this. It's like my hand flinched and I only cut myself right here, which in an area that you really wouldn't bleed out if you cut. So then that happens and immediately like I snap into this state of mind where it's like, well, what am I doing? Yeah. Like, I'm like, truly, what are you doing right now? And it's like all these memories and all these things are flooding back to me and I'm like, what are you doing? So, and it's like in the moment, it's like I kind of knew because it's like I'm sitting in the hospital parking lot. Like, it's like I knew that I wanted to do this.
But at the same time, but like you're at the hospital.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It was really weird, but.
It's like that subconscious thing of like asking for help, knowing I need help, but like living in the moment of it too. Like this whole. Yeah, I got it.
So I sit there and I'm watching the blood drip out on my arm and I'm watching it drip on my pants and my car. Like, it wasn't a big cut. Like, you can tell it's not a big cut, but it was bleeding. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, what are you doing? So I get out and I'm like, I'm just going to go inside. I'm going to get locked up. Maybe I'll get some therapy. Maybe I'll get help. Like, who knows? Yeah. And I want to preface before I go into the next part by saying that we need better people in healthcare. Right. Because the doctors that I experienced were very unprofessional. And in a moment when somebody is weak and struggling like that, the things that they said were not okay. So I do want to preface, do better if you work in the hospital, please. Right. So I go in, I get myself checked in, and I'm standing at the window to check myself in. She's like, what's wrong? And I'm like hysterically sobbing. I have no idea myself what's going on. Like, I just know that I'm struggling. I need help, and I just cut myself, which is something. Yeah, right. Like, something you would have told 15-year-old me, then I would have been like, you're insane. Like, why would you do that? Right. So I go to get myself checked in, and the lady at the front, she's like really nice, and she gives me my wristband, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and they come out to get me, and I get into a room, and they're, of course, the whole nine of stripping you. You have to take your jewelry off, take your earrings out, like take off your clothes. They have to take your phone, like the whole like mental health thing that they go through, you know? Yeah. And I remember one of the nurses comes in and she looks at my arm. It's because they're like, I don't know if you're going to need stitches or if you just have like a superficial cut. Like, we don't know yet. So we're going to have somebody come look at it. And she comes to look at it and she's like, why'd you cut yourself right there? Like, if you really wanted to kill yourself, you have to cut the other way. And like in that moment, I'm like, what did you just say to me? Like, me at that time, like, I'm like filled with anger. Like, I struggle with anger. Like, it's just something that I've known my entire life. Like, I get angry very easily. I'm like, what did you just say to me? Like, in the moment, I'm like very weak and I'm like, I don't want to fight you. But it also, like, that was really rude for you to say to me. Yeah. So they clean it up, get it, whatever, figure it out. And then another nurse later on, they have to have somebody sitting in there with you. And I'm sitting there sobbing my eyes out because after what the first nurse had just said, I'm like, I don't even want to be here anymore. Right. Like, you're not going to help me. You're not going to make things any better. I don't want to be here. So they have a nurse sitting in there with me, and she's like, so what happened? Like, what made you do this? And I'm like, I can't really tell you. And then she was like, do you have any family out here? I was like, my boyfriend just lives out here. Or I said, my ex-boyfriend lives out here. And she was like, oh, did you do this because of him? And like, again, I'm just like, why would you ever say this to somebody?
Yeah.
And for the longest, actually, after that, I really did. I struggled with like, did I do this because of him? And I'm like, no, I would never do something like this over a boy. And I really had to sit there and think like of everything that I've ever been through in my life, everything that he's ever done to me, everything that my people close to me have ever done to me. I had to sit there and rethink that no, like it wasn't just because of him. Like it was.
He didn't help the situation, but it wasn't over him.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So yeah, after that, my mom and brother actually ended up driving from Louisiana to Alabama to come get me, and they got me discharged from the hospital. We ended up going home, and this time I think my mom actually realized how serious it was and how bad it was getting. Because we got home, and I give her so much credit for this because she searched for hours trying to find me a outpatient facility to go to, which I will say, I didn't know this, but the outpatient facility that I went to is right behind where our old office used to be.
Oh,
really
yeah,
crazy.
Look at that.
So I ended up going to therapy from January to February of 2023. And it was like a group therapy like deal. I'm going to be honest, I didn't open up a whole lot because
Right. I mean,
I'm just the type of person where I like to keep things to myself.
Yeah.
I don't like to burden people. And I like to keep it to myself and just kind of fight it on my own.
Which is so interesting because we're doing all these acts of screaming for help in some sense, but let me figure it out myself, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's this push and pull back and forth of, I need you to help me. I'm driving myself to the hospital. I'm leaving you a note.
Yeah.
I want somebody to help me. But at the same time, I'm just going to keep it and hold it and try to fix it myself. Interesting dynamic that we do.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Interesting dance of life that we walk through.
Yes. So I ended up going to therapy for a couple months, and I didn't talk much. I didn't open up a whole lot. I think I opened up maybe once or twice about what I was really battling. And I had a few weeks left of therapy. Like I was supposed to go till March, April, but at this point in my life, I just kind of wanted to hide everything. I didn't really want to deal with it because it was so heavy and some things, I'm going to be honest, I haven't completely rehashed with the Lord because it's heavy and it's hard. So I just wanted to mask everything. So I ended up just deciding to stop going to therapy and just go back to work full time. And at this point in my life, I also started smoking heavily, which that in itself became a whole battle for 2 years.
Smoking or smoking?
What do you mean?
Like are smoking cigarettes or?
No, smoking weed.
Smoking weed. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify there.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew. I just wanted to clarify what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I literally got out of therapy because it's like I was wanting to get help and I was wanting to be better. But at the same time, I didn't want to rehash a lot of it because it's heavy. And when you're not really taught how to process your feelings and the things that you're going through,
right.
When it comes time to actually doing it, you don't want to do it.
No.
And you don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
So anytime I would start to get the feeling of unworthiness or like I wasn't good enough or get the memories of everything that I've been through and the trauma that I've been through and the things that I've experienced, I just would light up. I would roll a blunt, pack a bowl, and I would just smoke. And all of 2023 was like that.
And was that a way of just like, so I've never done drugs, so I ask these questions. My husband just looks at me and laughs sometimes. Like, why? What was it about that?
I was always happy. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. Of course I would cry because of course your body gets used to it after doing it for so long. So of course I would cry every now and then, but as soon as I got high, everything went away and I was just I felt like I was free.
Gotcha.
Like, I didn't have to deal with the problems. I didn't have to think about the sadness. I didn't have to think about the weight that I was feeling and the holes that I was trying to fill. Like, I didn't have to think about any of that because I was just high and I was just giggly and happy and just with my friends, you know?
Right.
So that went on for all of 2023. But I want to say my birthday was in July 2023. And I had started in June of 2023 at Next Tech. That's when we had met each other. On my birthday, I took the day off to go to the beach with a couple of my friends. And I ended up getting into my accident. And that's a key point because it's how I met Jesus. But, oh, crap. I also forgot.
Like, she hit a car that, like, in a way that you shouldn't even be able to hit a car. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was
like, we
really
looked at pictures like, how did that even happen? How do you even do that?
Yeah, it was really weird. But backtrack to June of 2023, right before, like the weekend before I was supposed to start at Next Tech, I had got kicked out of my parents' house. And something had transpired with that, which I won't publicly address.
Right.
But I take full accountability for it, that I was in the wrong at that point in my life, or at that point in time. Mom, I love you, but I don't think you should have kicked me out. So I wasn't living with my parents. I was actually living with a friend that I had met from group therapy. And me and Rue were staying with her. So I went out for my birthday. We were supposed to drive to Panama. We got stopped at the state line of Mississippi and Alabama with that accident. I ended up spending like 6 hours at the car shop. Did not get to enjoy my birthday at all. And I drove around my car that should have been totaled for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, hot minute.
Hot minute, yeah. And I was actually, the friend that I was staying with from group therapy actually kicked me out of her house shortly, like a few weeks into July, like not long after my birthday. She couldn't handle Rue's hair, which I understand. Rue sheds a lot. So she was like, I just can't do it. So she made us leave, and I ended up staying with another friend and her family. And I feel like in some sense, some of it may have been God ordained because her family runs a church within their home. And again, this is a point in my life where I was very angry at God, but I also was kind of hesitant on believing in him because it's like, I've been taught this my entire life, but I see no proof of you in my life.
So I remember one of our first conversations, we were talking about the Bible or something, I don't know. And you were like, I don't read the Bible. I don't believe in the Bible. And we're like, why? Like, I was floored because I love the word of God kind of thing. Yeah. And you're like, there's too many contradictions. I got too many questions about too many things. And instantly the Lord's like, just give her time. I was like, okay, all right. Like that's the moment that I knew. I'm like, okay, see assignment 1, I see purpose 1 in the building. So I just want to throw that little bit in there. Sorry, I got a piece of air right there.
That point in my life, I questioned his existence a lot. Like, there was points and times where I was like, I had a friend at my last job. She said, when I go to heaven, or she said something about hell. And I was like, if hell is even real. So I had a lot of questions and a lot of doubt. And I was very angry, but then again, very lost. Also, again, oh my goodness, I keep forgetting. 2023 was also like the beginning, like January, February was also the time where I was getting into the new age, where it was the crystals and the tarot cards and the sage and the incense and the chakras and the meditation. And
how did that happen? Like, where, because this interests me, and one day I will have somebody sit at this table and tell me, I'll answer all of my questions because I have lots of questions.
Yeah.
How did we get there? Like, how did we get introduced to them? What?
The devil.
Well,
the devil has a very strong hold on our generation right now and social media.
Yeah.
And I first learned about it through social media, TikTok, of course. And people were talking about the universe and crystals that help you get things that you want in life and tarot cards that can predict your future and the whole 9. So I'm like, okay, well, really don't believe in God. Like, I'm having this battle of if he's even real or not. Let me try this. And And I actually, before my parents kicked me out, I remember I was like going through my cards, and my mom hated this stuff. Like, she was so opposed to it. Like, she wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
She did not want it in her house.
It's good mama, Jamie.
Yeah. And I'm like going through the cards, and she comes into my room. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just going through my tarot cards. Like, I'm reading my read or whatever, you know." And she's like, "That stuff's demonic." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Like, I'm like, we're having a conversation, like kind of arguing. And I'm like, people on social media incorporate God into it all the time. I just don't. But, you know, people do it. And I'm like trying to argue with her about it. And she's like, "That's demonic." And I'm like, "No, it's not."
You're like, "Here, Jamie, let me read you for you."
Yeah, literally. So I had started tapping into that a lot. Mind you, I will say my depression only got worse after dealing with that.
Interesting, huh? But were the tarot cards telling you everything that you were like, was it you kept going back because it was telling you everything about that you wanted to hear? Or they're not, and you're seeing them work for everybody else and you want them to work for you? Like, what was it?
So as far as me doing them myself, I feel like I got some answers of what I thought I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's how the devil uses it, is because he gives you what you want to hear.
Just enough
Right. Of what you want to hear and what you think you want in life.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Yeah, it's for you. Yeah, it's for you. I'm going to play with these cards and mess with you." But it was never, like, even now, like, I look back and I'm like, none of that was true.
Right.
That was all from the devil. Like,
yeah.
Even the stuff, like, the answers that I was getting to, like, questions I had or, like, things going on in my life, I'm like, is this person meant to be in my life? Or what am I supposed to be doing? Like, trying to get answers out of it. I was getting the answers that I wanted in that point in time, but I look back now and I'm like, you didn't even want that stuff. Like,
right.
That stuff's not even good for you.
Yeah.
It was definitely just trying to, like, make it work and have a sense of being that I believed in.
Mm-hmm.
But also, too, I had so much church hurt, and
right.
I didn't experience Jesus the way I have now. Like, there was so much that I was just trying to fill.
Yeah.
And I used that for a long time.
Gotcha. And the crystals, same thing?
Same thing. It's like I thought, like, having them would bring me good energy and, like, the blessings that I wanted in life, but it was, like, counterfeit.
Just carrying a pocket full of rocks around.
Just carry a pocket full of rocks. Literally.
I remember we had this conversation literally just a couple months ago, because we've talked a little bit about your testimony, but not a lot, especially at work kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you told me about the rocks, and I'm like, so, like, you just carried a pocket full of rocks around, like, hoping you, like, did you rub them on you, like, thinking that you're going to get some energy? Like, well, it's the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, well, some people do. I never did this, but some people will lay down, like, flat on their back and place different...
Oh, yeah. I learned about that in massage school with their chakras and stuff.
Yeah.
Me and my shiatsu teacher didn't get along very well.
Yeah.
Because I called her out and her demons didn't like my Jesus. Yeah. I failed that part of massage school.
Yeah, but there are people who will put them on your body, like, and align your chakra with it or whatever.
Which is crazy, because I believe, because God is the God of creation, like, and he is the most creative being. And I believe there is energy around us, and there are these things around us that we can't see. I mean, scientifically, we can prove that they are there. Yeah. And I mean, we talk about the stones in the Bible of the throne and different things like that. But I don't know that he ever wanted us to take that creation and worship it, right? Yeah. Because then that becomes the idol. Mm-hmm. He made beautiful things that may have powers. They may have potential. Who knows? But when we take them and use them for our gain and use them as our idols rather than going to him, that's where it gets all crazy and wackadoodled, because I'm like, you're praying to a pink stone to bring you peace, and the greatest peace you could ever imagine. The Holy Spirit is standing next to you, wants to comfort you. And so, okay. So here we are with the stones and rocks and things.
Yeah. So I dabbled in that for a long time, even after getting kicked out and living with two of my friends. So I get into my car accident in July. September, October rolls around, and my friend's dad, which is the pastor of the church that they run at home, sits down and has a conversation with me about Jesus. And again, in this moment, I'm like, I want nothing to do with him. I don't want to hear about him. I could care less, honestly.
Right.
Go away. But we're sitting down, we're having the conversation. He asked me, he goes, so why don't you believe? Like, what makes you not believe? And I'm stumped. I'm like, I mean, I've never seen him I felt like I've never seen him in my life. Although he's always been there, I never felt his presence.
Yeah.
But also, I see his people not acting like his people because of the church that I went to.
Preach that, say that. Yeah.
Because of the church that I went to, I'm seeing, because the church that I went to, almost everybody in Hammond went to. It was like our main church.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing people that I'm going to school with, I'm seeing their families, and I'm seeing strangers, and I'm seeing all these people who act one way inside of the church and then act a completely different way outside of the church.
Right.
And I'm like, y'all are prophesying to be Christians, like acting this way in front of the pastor and in front of all these people, but you're not acting that way outside of church. So I'm like, is he even real? Because of like, your people aren't even acting like they're supposed to, you know? I also was in like youth group, and like I was part of the youth leadership team. Like I was seeing a lot inside of the building that wasn't being brought outside of the building.
Yeah.
And it really did tarnish my thought and my idea of who Jesus was. So we're having this conversation, and he actually ends up making me like cry. Like I go back to the room that I was staying in, and I just sobbed my eyes out, because it's like, they're loving me like Jesus was. They accepted me for who I was. They knew the lifestyle I was living. They knew the things that I was doing. They knew that I was into the New Age stuff, and they knew I wanted nothing to do with Jesus.
Right.
But they still loved on me. And he was like, I only ask one thing from you while you're staying here. And I'm like, what? And he's like, just come to church once a week, because they did it on Sundays and Wednesdays, and they were like, you can either do Sunday nights or Wednesday nights. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. Like, my parents raised me with respect. Like, I respect my people, you know. And you're so graciously letting me live in your house. Yeah. So of course, like, I'll do that for you. I didn't want to, but I did. And I truly feel like in some sense he planted a seed, because not long after that, I ended up giving my life to Christ.
Come on.
But that all happened. I ended up going to a few church services, and then in October, I could feel myself slipping really bad again, and I was getting into a place where it's like, I'm almost on the verge of wanting to try this for a third time. Like, I don't want to be here.
Wow.
I'm very unhappy with myself. I'm unhappy with the way life is going for me. I was also in the process of trying to buy a house, and that completely failed for me. So it's like, nothing I ever do works out. I'm getting nothing out of life, and I hate my life right now. What better way, you know? So one day I end up going on a hike, and I'm like contemplating this battle. I'm like, do I try it again, or do I go back home? And in that moment, I was like, let me just try to go back home. Because my mom had texted me a few months back and was like, you're more than welcome to come back. Like, we had a whole long conversation. Like, we were texting books back to each other, and she was like, you're more than welcome to come back. And in my own prideful mind, I'm like, I don't want to be around you guys. I don't want anything to do with you guys. I want to do it on my own. And I tried and tried and tried, and it never worked.
It usually happens.
So, yeah.
How it happens with pride, typically.
Yeah. So eventually, in October, I moved back home with my mom, and I'm still into the New Age stuff. Like, I come back, and all of this stuff that I had, like the crystals and the hands and the tarot cards and the tapestries and all this stuff that I had up in my room was taken down. And they had took that down shortly after I had left. But I come back, and the room's completely empty, and I just have to start all over, and I'm unhappy, and I have no idea where I'm supposed to be in life. I have no idea what my purpose is supposed to be. Like, back to square one, it felt like. And I'm still driving around my beat-up Volkswagen. She's got the biggest dent in her. The right blinker don't work. Like, she's a hot mess. The turbo went out. Like, I'm, like, struggling to go past 75 miles an hour. And I had all this money saved up from when I was trying to buy the house. And my mom's like, why don't you just buy a new car? And I'm like, I was really hoping to try to get on my own soon. But, you know, let's shoot. Let's try.
Yeah.
And in November November 18th. Again, this is a day I'll always remember. We're at the dealership, and I'm test driving all these cars, looking at all these cars. And again, prior to this, that seed had been planted about Jesus. And I'm like, kind of like wanting to step my toes into it, but still on the edge about it.
Right.
But I'm looking at one Nissan and I'm looking at a Ford. And those were my two options I was coming down to. And I'm like, God, if you're with me, which car is it? Like, which car do I get? And I just hear, I'm like, the Ford. Like, I just hear in my head, like, the Ford. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with the Ford. So I ended up signing all the papers, get everything done. And then the same night, we ended up having one of our coworkers' birthday dinners. So I go over to the dinner, hang out for an hour, and I get back in my car, and I'm driving home. I'm, like, beyond proud of myself. This is my first big girl purchase. Could have never in my million years thought that I could have done this. But I'm still unhappy with my life and the way that I'm living and the things that I'm doing. So I'm sitting in the driveway of my house in my car, and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's no way that I just did this. There's no way. And I just start praying. This is something that I've never done in like 10 years. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I prayed. Like, even when my life was very dark and heavy,
Right.
I never prayed.
Okay.
But I bought this car, and I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
Like, I'm just so thankful. And I keep repeating thank you over and over. And I just start praying, and I'm like, God, if you're real, I need your help. I'm going to try this thing. I don't know what I'm stepping into. I have no idea what I'm about to get into. Like, I have no idea what I'm about to do. But I'm about to give my life to you. And essentially I did. I said, Jesus, I give you my life. I give you all of it. And that same night, I'm sitting in my car, and I'm, like, sobbing. And it's, like, a sob that I, like, hadn't felt in years.
Like a healing sob, letting it go.
Like,
kinda.
I'm just, like, I'm so thankful, but then it's, like, I'm feeling like it was, like, weight was being lifted up.
Yeah.
And I'm just praying and praying and praying, and I ended up re-downloading the Bible app on my phone. Hadn't had it in years. And I start, like, a new, like, Christian walk Bible plan, and I just start reading it every day. And it wasn't much. Like, I wasn't fully into it. Like, I wasn't, like, I gave my life to Christ, and I was trying.
Right.
But I was still very hesitant and, like, is this even real? Like, questioning it, you know? And I just keep reading, and I keep praying, and I keep trying, and slowly, like, within, like, a month, like, I'm listening to worship music all the time. I'm not cursing anymore. I'm, like, working on quitting smoking. Like, I'm doing all these things to try to be better that I didn't even realize that I was doing. And it was literally because God was changing my life. Like,
awesome.
He was changing my heart and who I was. And it was simply just because I was seeking who He was. And then the new year rolled around, and I was like, 2024 is going to be the year that I completely dedicate my life to Him. And people can testify, like, my life completely changed. From January to April, it was just boom, boom, boom. And I was putting my whole heart into who He was and experiencing Him and calling out His name and calling out for His presence and to know who He was, not religion and not what people claimed Him to be, but really spending my time with Him and dedicating time to Him to experience Him and get to know who He was.
There was this change that like slowly we started seeing it, but just all of a sudden one day I was like, hey, this girl she's not carrying herself the same way. She's not talking the same way. She came in with a Bible that stayed in the car, a Bible that stayed at her desk, a Bible that was at home, like these beautiful Bibles. We were talking like you were. And that was right as God's Coffee Call was starting. And so like she took promotion pictures with us for God's Coffee Call. She's like, this merch, she was the one that helped me design half the merch that we had for God's Coffee Call.
I have like 20 shirts.
Yeah. She has bought the most things from she owns more things at God's Coffee Call than I do. But yeah, you were just like gung ho, just all in running for Jesus. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I love this girl. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, he really changed my life, and I think it's because of I was watching and witnessing within my own life the things that he was changing and the things that he was doing, because there was no way that I was going to be able to quit smoking by myself. He helped me through that. There was no way that I was going to quit vaping without him. He helped me through that. Drinking, lust, like all of these things, there was no way that I was being delivered from it on my own.
Right.
Like it was not in my human power. I ended up getting baptized in April, and it was a very big thing for me. It was a very big accomplishment, I guess you could say. Because again, like, you would have told me a year ago that I was being baptized and living my life for Jesus, I would have looked at you like you were insane. Like
you did. You looked at me and said, no.
Yeah, like, so to actually be living it and experiencing it was very crazy for me.
But affecting people around you too, because didn't your brother and sister get baptized not long after you did, or something like that?
Yeah.
So not only were you doing, like, there's change in you, you're affecting people around you.
Yeah.
Even like in your home, but even also at the office.
Yeah.
People were watching you, because I came in and they're like, oh, Miss Brooke loves Jesus. Kalyn come in and they're like, what has happened to her? Like, what is this? What's going on with this girl? There was this evident change of night and day, black and white. What's happening? So you caught that attention really quickly.
It was really fast.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it to be so fast. Like, I'm going to have to put in all this work and do all these things, and it's going to take me years to change.
Yeah.
But it literally was like boom, boom, boom. Like, he was delivering me from stuff daily.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting baptized in April. I had quit smoking, and I remember the last time that I had smoked, I was getting ready to take a shower, and I had just gotten inside from sitting in my car, and I'm like about to put worship music on, and I hear him say, am I not good enough? And I was like, you struck me
Holy
just
Spirit.
a little bit.
Just nothing like the conviction of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, like,
Mercy.
and I sat there for a good 5 minutes, like, what did you just say to me? Because, like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying to do better for you. Like, I'm actively trying to quit. I'm not perfect. Like, I still want to do it sometimes. But, like, dang, like, you just got me. And, like, I hear you. Like, I hear you. And I ended up throwing it all away at that, like, the next day after that. Shortly after being baptized, I went through deliverance. And after that, my life just continued to change. Like, I didn't want to entertain conversations that I was before. I didn't want to do things that I was doing before. Like, he had changed my life before that and had delivered me from stuff. But to go through deliverance and then see more change was very weird for me, but also very freeing.
Yeah.
Because it no longer felt like I was bound up. Like, I literally was feeling weight being lifted off of me the more that I continued to grow my relationship with him. And he just continued to fill voids that I was trying to fill myself.
Right.
And I was failing at.
Yeah.
Like, he literally came into my life and, like, was just filling me and filling my cup and filling my heart and just completely changing me and who I was as a person. Not long after that, I turned 21. My birthday came around the corner, and I had plenty of people warning me about the things.
I sat at the side of her desk on the floor going, this is really what you want to do?
Yeah.
Really?
And I said, yeah. And I said, yeah, this is what I want to do.
And I had to say, okay, Lord, I trust you.
Yeah. So I turned 21, and of course, having prior issues with drinking, I wasn't smoking at this time. And I'm like, I could just have 1 or 2 drinks. I can go out for my birthday, have a drink, and be fine. I can go out to the bar one time and be fine. Like, I'm fine. And I was not fine. It spiraled very fast. And I guess that's what I get for not listening to when you sweep your house, they come back, and they come back with 7 of their friends.
Yeah.
They're not joking. So I turned 21, I ended up started drinking again, and it became so easy because you're 21, you can buy it anywhere now.
Yeah.
Prior to me being 21, if I wanted to drink, I had to go to the gas station that sold it to us without an ID.
Yeah.
It was a hassle because you had to go out the way and you had to go 20 minutes out and get it. But when you're 21, you just buy it from anywhere.
Right down the store or street. Yeah.
Literally, just the gas station right around the corner. I could stop after work and pick up a 6-pack, you know. So it became very convenient and easy for me. And I started drinking and I started going out again and I started partying a lot. And then shortly after that, I started smoking again. And at this point, it became very easy. But then at the same time, it's like the devil was like tempting me. And he's like, you're 21, just do it. Like, you'll be good one time. Like, he was feeding into the thoughts of, you'll be okay just one time.
Right.
Just one time. And one time turns into 6. And 6 turns into 20. And 20 turns into 50. Like, it's just
and here
a
we
never...
are months later.
Yeah. And then also too, I felt like at this point in my life I was struggling heavily with depression again. I felt like he was coming for me, and I think he knew I was on the breakthrough of something of some sort, because it got really heavy. And it's like I turned 21 and then I had that first drink, and then it was like just started pouring in and just coming in. And of course, at this point in my life, I had just given my life to Jesus. It had only been like 6 or 7 months. And I was being open with him and I was being vulnerable. But again, there were still, like I said earlier, there were still some things that I wasn't willing to reopen yet.
Yeah.
And I still haven't to this day because it's heavy.
Yeah.
So I wasn't very open to being vulnerable completely. And the devil really started attacking me with those things. And I just started drinking and smoking to cover those things and mask it. And it just continued to be a spiral. And for the next 6 or 7 months, I was just drinking and smoking and going out and partying. And I was hanging out with people that I shouldn't have been hanging out. And I was sleeping with people. And I was doing all of these things that I had no business doing. Because I knew, at this point in my life, I knew who Jesus was. I had felt his presence. And I felt his love like never before. And I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing these things. But because I felt like my problems were bigger than Jesus, honestly.
Yeah.
And I
talk about that, because that's real.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize.
A lot of people would never dare to vocalize that.
Yeah.
Because that, I think, man, that's powerful right there. Because I think there's so many people, especially who maybe have dealt with trauma and dealt with abuse and dealt with all this kind of stuff, depression, anxiety, suicide, stuff like that. They sometimes would maybe not even dare to say, I feel like it's too big for God.
Yeah.
It's too big for Jesus.
And that's what I felt like. I felt like my problems were too big and that I would just have to keep fighting for it for myself. And it's like, it was a battle for me, because it's like, I see that you did change things and you did transform my life. But this right here, this door in my heart, this drawer in my heart is too big for you. And it's too deep and it's too heavy for you, but also for myself.
Right.
I wasn't willing to open up that door. I wasn't willing to give him that full surrender of those issues because I was too scared to confront it. But I was also too scared of feeling like he's not going to fix this for me, you know? So I battled with that for 6 or 7 months, and I just kept going back to sin and just doing all of these things. And I remember in October of 2024, Monica and her family were going out of town to do some more deliverance. And she was like, the offer is on the table for you. And I'm like, okay. Like, I hear you. Because it's like, I had put myself back into the same situation that I was in before. And I was in love with sin more than I was in love with Jesus at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this yet, because I still enjoy going out and drinking every night. And I still enjoy smoking, and I still enjoy hanging out with people. Because
it's fun. Like, in the moment, it's so fun.
And it feels, in the moment, it feels fulfilling. Right. But then the next day you wake up and you feel empty again.
Yeah.
And it was a complete process, like a cycle over and over for me. I would go out and I'd drink and I'd get drunk and high. And then I'd wake up and I'd feel empty still. And then I'd go
all
out
the
again.
Stuff would still be there.
Yeah.
Didn't disappear.
And then I'd go out the next night, try to fill it. And then I'd wake up the next morning and still feel empty. Like, nothing ever worked. And I remember at one point, I don't remember what month this was in, but I remember they were talking in the office about suicide. And this was when I realized how bad it was, because I struggled with anxiety and anxiety attacks before, but I had never struggled in the instance of hearing somebody talk about something that I had battled with and then get an anxiety attack over it.
Yeah.
Like, it had never been like that for me. And they were in the office talking about
I remember that day.
talking about somebody who had tried to commit suicide, and I was sitting at my desk and I'm like typing something, and I just stopped and I could feel my heart start racing and my breathing start getting heavy. And I walked outside and I just broke down and I had an anxiety attack. I tried calling Monica. I'm like trying to call somebody for help. I couldn't, like, my hands were shaking so bad that I couldn't even go to call or like hang up or do anything. And that's when I kind of knew, like, things were getting really bad again, like really, really bad, worse than it was before, because of how bad that panic attack was. And that happened multiple times after that. From maybe it was October to January, I want to say, I struggled very bad with anxiety attacks. Like, I would just break out in an anxiety attack and I'd be like heaving for air and like almost throwing up because I couldn't breathe. I'm like trying to get air in my lungs. I struggled with that for a few months. I don't really want to say addiction or like alcoholism, but my substance abuse only got worse. Like, I was drinking and smoking more and more every day. And then I think I went through, it was in February, in February of this year, I had told Monica again, and I was like, I'm just done. Like, I can't keep living like this. And I was in the midst of everything that I was battling and dealing with and still enjoying doing. God was calling out to me. Like, I could hear him being like, Kalyn, just come back to me. Just turn your life around. And there were a few moments where I almost felt like too dirty and too shameful to turn around. Like, I just felt like there was nothing that he could do to save me, even though I had watched it before. I just felt like it was just too much. And I ended up reaching out to Monica, and I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to change my life. I feel empty. Like, in this moment, I was like very empty. Like, there was like, I'm like scrounging up droplets in my cup, like trying to survive and live and like keep pushing forward. But I just felt so empty and like nothing was working. So I'm like, I need help. I need to go through deliverance again. That's the only thing that I know is going to help me. Like, I can't get it. Like, I was having struggle getting into my word. Like, I couldn't even open up the Bible most days. Like, it was hard. And then plus, like, I'm having like all these voices in my head. Like, people don't talk about that one after they go through not a lot of people go through deliverance. I feel like that's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, the church gets scared of deliverance.
Yeah, it's very easily.
There are lots of people in the church that probably need deliverance, but it's like the cuss word of church.
Yeah,
deliverance.
Yeah, people are scared of it. I wish we would talk about it more. We need to.
Yeah.
But before deliverance, like, I had all these voices in my head, and obviously now I know it's like the demons trying to get you to do stuff and like just fill your mind with chaos and nonsense. But I just felt like it was becoming a lot, and I just felt empty and I was just done. So I reached out, and I'm going through deliverance again, and here we are now. My life has completely changed and still is. Like, the Lord has delivered me from so much and is continuing to. My desire for smoking and vaping is like slowly, like, it's not an overnight thing, and I never want people to think it's an overnight thing, because it's not.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, like the 1%ers out there, it is.
Yeah, for some people,
for 99% of the people, it's a process.
Yeah, and it takes a while. But he's working in me, and I see the work in me because the desire for things are going out the door. It's like, I don't even want to pick up the vape anymore and hit it. Like, it doesn't even feel good anymore. I don't want to get high anymore because, like, my brain's all over the place. So he's freeing me from things and like secular music. Like, I'll hear a secular song and they'll start talking about sex. I'm like, turn this off. Like, it upsets my ears. Like, I don't want to hear it. conversations about gossip. Like sometimes I'm not perfect by any means, so sometimes I will get into it. But most of the time, he'll convict me and he'll catch me and be like, no, you're not. This
Right.
isn't how you're supposed to be living. This
Yeah.
is not what you're supposed to be doing. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. And like even the other day, we were talking about like I wasn't going to invite certain people to a thing. And I immediately got convicted. I'm like, I'm not inviting these people. And he's like, yes, you are. And I'm like,
Okay, Jesus.
like, it's like you have to swallow your pride.
Right.
As much as you don't want to, you have to. And there would be moments where it's like, I don't want to be nice to this person because this person irritates me. I don't want anything to do with this person. And in that moment, they come up to me and I'm like, hi, how are you? Like being nice to them because it's like I feel that conviction.
And not being fake.
Not being fake. It's just...
Because sometimes we say fake it till you make it. And there are some moments I'm like, I just got to be fake with you right now, bro, because I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
But that is something that we don't talk about is, Lord, I want to do something. And even we're like, oh, this is how I'm going to respond if they come up to you. And they come up to you and you're like, hi. Because the Holy Spirit's like, you're going to respond the way I want you to respond.
Yeah.
You're going to respond the way I'm calling you to respond. And you're like, okay, I'm going to respond the way you want me to respond. And yeah, I get that. And that's real. That's totally real. I want to back up a little bit to... You go through deliverance with Monica, someone we work with. If you've watched God's Coffee Call, she's given her testimony before. And they are connected with some friends we have in Tennessee that do deliverance ministry. So you go through that. And then I want you to talk about the Bible study that we had where, because that was a beautiful night. And so tell us about that before we jump into other stuff. Tell us about that Bible study or where that falls in. That wasn't long after deliverance, right?
No, that was literally the same week.
Was it? Okay.
I think I went through deliverance that Saturday. We drove home that Sunday. No. Yeah, Saturday we went through the deliverance. Sunday we drove home. And I want to say that Thursday we had the Bible study.
Yeah.
It was like the first Bible study, I want to say. Maybe.
Yeah. It's just our family and like 2 or 3 other families and some college age, you guys college age, just had dinner and Bible study together. Yeah. That's what the plan was, kind of thing.
Yeah, and God worked through that and moved through that night in such a way. Like, I still think about me sitting in that bathtub and like people praying over me. Like, because 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you would have told me I had all these people surrounding me with the love of Jesus, that you were going to be a disciple. I would have looked at you like you were crazy. But to know now that I have a village of people who support me, care about me, love me, and want me to succeed in my relationship with the Lord, it's something that I think about all the time because I'm very blessed. And I know not a lot of people have that in their life. So to think that the Lord has loved me so much, that he has put me in a job that is surrounded by people who love him is a blessing. And
that was a beautiful night. We baptized her in the ladies' bathtub. Yeah. And there was like, I don't know, 8 of us in this little bitty bathtub. Yeah. This bathroom praying, and like different people were anointing and praying over you. And just seeing Monica baptized you, right? Yeah. Just seeing Monica baptize you, come up, and then her praying over you, and I prayed over you, and Brandon prayed over you, and you just sitting in that water, like, I didn't know your story at the time, but I think as you were telling just now, how beautiful your first unaliving attempt was in the water, and how beautiful your new life was by going under the water. Yeah. Like, that's just a beautiful, when you were talking about that, I'm like, man, I'm so happy I was there for the moment she went under the water, but she came up completely different and
I really did.
Alive and vibrant and beautiful. And I love that you sat in that bathtub, even after we all prayed for you. I left my phone in there just playing some worship music, and we just let you sit there with the Lord. And I'm like, that is beautiful. Because when it happens at church, like, because there's agendas and things, we baptize people, get up, let's do the next one kind of thing. Yeah. But I thought, man, that's a beautiful moment for you to be able to just sit in with the Lord. And even as we left you, I thought, God, I want her to contemplate the issues of her heart, the drawers of her heart, the cabinets of her heart, sitting in that tub, and all the things that you've washed off of her. Like, sitting in that moment. What a beautiful moment it was. And then we ended up baptizing 2 other little girls that night. And like, it was just a beautiful night that I was looking through the pictures in my phone today and I came across it. I'm like, can't delete that one. That one's beautiful. That was a beautiful moment.
It was very powerful. Because even after, like you said, y'all left the room, like I just sat there in the tub soaking wet and my hands were getting pruny, and I'm a texture person and a sensory issue person, so like the prunes are starting to irritate me, but I'm in the presence of Jesus right now. Like I'm sitting at his feet sobbing my eyes out and just witnessing the people that he's put in my life to bring me closer to him and help with my walk. And I'm looking back at everything that I've been through and all the changes that I've had in my life and all the hell that I've been through. Like I'm, like you said, just sitting in that and remembering that, and I just sobbed. And I sat there for a good 10 minutes and just sobbed and sobbed, because when you go your whole life feeling unworthy and like you're never going to be good enough, and you go your entire life feeling like you're never going to live up to the capabilities and the potential that other people see you have, like you feel like it, and deep down you kind of know it's not true, but you still feel so unworthy. Like going through that and dealing with that, and on top of the depression and the suicide and the anxiety and the self-harm and all of these things, like just realizing how much he truly loves me and cares about me and has a purpose for me and has a plan and wants to see me live my life for him. Like just looking back at that and like sitting in that is so powerful, because he is the creator of the universe. He is the creator of every person you've ever encountered, and every speck of grass and every tree that grows. He is the creator of it. Like he is the one who has built everything around us, you know? So to know that he has done all of this and he has created all these people, but yet he still has a purpose for me, someone who lives in a tiny town in Louisiana, like it was so mind-blowing. And it still is. Like sometimes I'll still sit back and I'll think, I'm like, this man who created everything in this world loves me more than anything. Like sometimes it's hard to fathom, but you really have to sit there and think like he really does love me. Like he cares about me. And that in itself has shifted my perspective of me, because he saw that I was worthy. Nobody can tell me I'm unworthy. Not a soul. He tells me that I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. You cannot tell me that I'm not. Like you can't put doubt in my head knowing that the God of the universe, the creator of all things, loves me more than anything in this world. You can't put doubt in my mind, like at all.
I love that, because I too, like I have one picture of my real daddy left when I was 2. Never have met the man, like never have seen him. He since has passed away, but I never met him. But I carried that unworthiness around, and I'll do whatever to make you stay around. I'll put up with whatever to make you stay around, and even carried that into marriage. When Brandon and I got married, I'm not good enough for you. I'm not pretty enough for you. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough mom. I never get it right, kind of thing. That's still, even now that even though the Lord has healed me, and I know that I am beautifully and wonderfully made, and that he's got me sitting doing crazy things I never thought that I would do. The battle, the enemy is always still there saying, tapping on the shoulder, and I always have to go, the word says, right? But a couple weeks in February, we did a podcast with a bunch of college students, and I ended with, and it's one of my favorite verses in the Bible, where in Song of Solomon, the beloved tells the beloved, with one glance of your eyes, I was breathtaking. And like years before Brandon and I got married, the Lord revealed to me, he's like, Brooke, when I look at you, I stop breathing. Like, that's how beautiful you are to me. And I'm like, okay. But there's something about when the Lord sets that seed inside of you, you cannot talk me out of it. Do I always feel beautiful? No. Do I always feel cunning and breathtaking? I might be breathtaking for the wrong reasons. Brandon was going fishing the other day or hunting or something, and I come out and I'm like in, I don't know, this outfit I had on, I don't know. And I was like, is this everything you thought you would have when you got married? And he's like, oh yeah, and more. Yeah. But I looked ridiculous, but my worth and my value and who I am is so deeply rooted in him that, like you said, you can't talk me out of it. Yeah. I may not always look it. You may not always think it, but I know what he says about me, and I know who he says that I am.
Yeah.
And so that's beautiful. So what does life look like now? Like how, I mean, I know what's going on, but you don't have to share any more than what you want to share. But so like, where are you now after you've been baptized and the Lord's doing stuff in your life? What's happening now?
He's definitely calling me out of some places, and I'm obviously, y'all know kind of what's going on, but I'm not going to go into too much detail.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. There's transition happening.
A lot of changes. And it's a lot of changes that I'm just having to put my trust into him, which trust is a very hard thing for me. I don't trust very easily, but again, he's God. He knows everything. He's got better plans than I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So just fully putting my trust in him and having faith that he's calling me into this season and he's going to make a way where there is no way. So just I have a lot of transition and changes happening that I'm trusting him through. And he's just consistently changing me as a person and who I am. Like, I ended up getting some bad news and some news that I didn't want. And me, like, literally a couple weeks ago would have sobbed and, like, been heartbroken over this news and been like, God, what are you doing? Like, is this from you? Like, are you really wanting me to do this? Like, I would have doubted a lot. But because he's changing me daily and has shifted so many things within me, I just kind of was like, okay, I trust you. Yeah. I still trust you. Like, it's not what I wanted it to look like. It's not what I thought it was going to look like. But I still trust you. Yeah. And, like, even my attitude about the situation, like, I was just like, okay, it is what it is.
Oh, this week I told Brandon, I was like, she got some bad news, but, like, she's chipper. I'm like, she's more chipper than I would be. Like, like you just didn't. And it shifted. I'm like, she really is just trusting the Lord that he's going to make a way.
Yeah. And I think it's because I think it's because of the promises he has made to me. And people have vouched for it with me. Like, it's not just me hearing him. It's like people are speaking it over me too. Yeah. Because of that, and also because at the end of the day, my plans are not going to be good for me. Fleshly, maybe, but it's not what's going to last. It's not what's going to fulfill me fully, you know? Yeah. So just fully trusting him and that his plan is really greater for me. And that also, too, I just have no doubt in my mind. Like, the enemy can try to make me doubt and plant little seeds of doubt, but truly there's nothing that can make me doubt what is from the Lord and what he has promised me. So I just know that he'll make a way where there is no way, and he'll do what he's supposed to do, and what's supposed to happen is going to happen. So, I mean, I can't get upset about it. And, I mean, nothing I do is going to change it. Right. Like, even if I fight and plead and beg, God, this is what I want it now, and this is what I want it to look like, he gonna laugh in my face and tell me, girl, go sit down and let me do what I gotta do. And I'm like, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. We got it. Oh, well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet. Like, man, just, you know, I was a youth pastor for many years and helped with youth, and Brandon was too. And I love to see people's life changed, especially young people. Yeah. Like, I love to see people your age and even younger finding that God-shaped place within them and letting God move and do stuff in it. There's something beautiful about it, because doesn't mean that life's going to always be easy. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have hardships. It doesn't mean that sometimes you're not going to question God, but it gives me hope to know there's this foundation there that no matter what comes, whatever the seas look like, wherever life takes her and the Lord's plans has for her, that there's this foundation within her that she will not be moved. She will not be shaken. And she will always have that Holy Spirit right there with her and comforting her and being aware of it.
Mhm.
Even when we're not aware of it, the Holy Spirit's still there,
Yeah.
wanting to comfort, but there's something about knowing that and being able to walk into that and living our life through that. So, well, I've got a few questions, but before I do that, what would you say to somebody watching this that maybe's going through what you've went through, or what would you tell younger Kalyn?
My younger self, just give it to Jesus, honestly. Because in that moment, when I gave my life to him, is really when things started to change. And because I was seeking him and trying to still make him my whole world and like fulfill the holes that I'm filling in my heart, like it changed. And he filled those holes.
Yeah.
I think I would also remind her that she is worthy. Especially, and I think I have a heart for girls in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because at that point, like, I really, really, really started to struggle. Especially because in high school, like, I'm trying to fit in with girls and, like, get friends. And, like, you have the popular girls and you have the weirdos and you have all these people, like, all these, like, stereotypes
Right,
and
yeah.
groups that you're trying to fit into. And I have a heart for those girls that are trying to fit in and trying to feel worthy, I guess you could say. Like, they're trying to find a purpose,
Right.
you know, and they're trying to find their spot in high school, you know, and they're battling these things and they're insecure and they don't have many friends and the boys don't like them and, you know, like these things. Like, I have a heart for those girls. So if you're one of those girls, please stop. Don't let the enemy win. Like, he's trying to bring you down. He's trying to make you feel unworthy. He's trying to make you feel like you don't have a purpose, but you really do. Like, if I could look at every high school girl and just remind her of how beautiful she is and remind her that she does have a purpose, like, I would love that. Because you'd be surprised that there are so many girls in high school struggling and they don't know what to do because they're trying to fit in with these friends. They want a boyfriend and they have all these things going on and they want to be on the sports team and they have all these things that they're battling.
Right.
But people don't take it seriously because you're just in high school.
Right.
Like, I feel like a lot of people overlook high school students because they're still just kids.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these kids are the ones trying to navigate all the emotions that they're feeling, the mental health that is going around. A lot of them aren't raised in good homes.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't know the name of Jesus. And it's just all these things that are piling on top of each other. They don't know what to do. They don't know which way to go. And they don't know who to look to.
Mm-hmm.
Please just look at Jesus. Like, he can change anything that you're going through. And I wholeheartedly believe that. The depression, the anxiety, the lust, the addiction, the mental health, like, whatever it is, he is bigger than that. And it took me a while to realize that and truly know that. But he is bigger than that and he can take it all the way. We might have to put in some work and we might have to change some things that we're doing. Right. But he will help and he will either take away the desire or he'll take it away completely. And honestly, that's what I would tell. Just look at Jesus. Like, put him...
Sorry, y'all, we have a fly flying around.
Just put him first.
Yeah.
Like, just put him first and he'll do the rest.
It's beautiful. Okay, so I want to ask you a few questions. Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
I do.
Okay. Do you need my Bible?
Yeah, let me see.
Good luck with that.
It's in Isaiah, I know that. I think it's 43:2. Okay, yeah. Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, and the Holy One of Israel, your Savior.
It's beautiful.
That's my favorite. And that's been my favorite since I was in youth group. Even though I didn't really have a relationship with Jesus at that time, I just kind of knew who he was. It just always stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And I think even now, like looking back at my life and everything that I've been through, the fires didn't consume me and the waters didn't drown me, you know, like I made it out. No matter how much I wanted to die, no matter how much I wanted things to end and things to change, I made it out. I made it out alive, and here I am now. Like, I'm burning for Jesus. And I want to say, when I first gave my life to Christ in November of 2023, I was sitting in my car and I was praying about all these things and asking God just to change my life. And I made the comment, and he humbled me very quickly, because I made the comment that I did not want to be like everybody else, and I didn't want my whole social media and my entire life to revolve around Jesus. Like, I didn't want that, because that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen people fake.
Yeah.
And then it was, of course, fake. Like, they weren't like that outside of church. I didn't want to be like that. And I'm like, I do not want you to consume my life like that. First time ever praying to Jesus, I said that. And he consumed my life. And he has changed me. And all I could do, like, I could sit here for hours and talk about him and the things that he has done for me. Because I love him and I love the things that he's done in my life. But I love him for who he is, because he's redeemed me. Nobody else. People would have walked past me on the street. Like, if you could see everybody's sin and everything that they've ever been through, and if it was visible on the outside, people would walk past me, throw dirt on me, and be like, she's disgusting. I want nothing to do with her. But Jesus looked at me exactly as I was. He called me by my name and not my sin, and he still looked at me and said, you are enough. Yeah. And you are worthy. Right. And it's just awesome.
I love it. It's beautiful, because I was telling Brayden on the way here, you so represent this generation. You've got the piercings, you've got the tattoos, like you're just always dressed so cute. You got your Stanley, like you got your organization, like you are the mold of this generation. But the difference about so many in this generation and you is you've got this God-shaped fire inside of you that consumes you, so that on the outside you may look like them at times and people may pass you by, but if they ever just stopped and talked to you, it's like, okay, wow, like it's just this surprising thing that, because I mean your arms are full of tattoos and you're like she's just full of her tattoos, and but she loves Jesus radically. And I think it's beautiful that you can, you know, Paul says when in Rome, that you can be in the world and you're learning to not be of the world. Yeah. And I think that's where so many Christians get it wrong, is they think to be in the world, I have to be of the world and then talk about Jesus every once in a while. Yeah. And that's not what Jesus does. He doesn't want you going out, taking a shot or two and then saying, let me tell you about Jesus. Like that's not how he works, kind of thing. But on that line, what do you think is one or two ways that maybe the church can change or should know about your generation?
Stop being so judgy. I feel like a lot of people in my generation are seeking to find something to fill the void that they're feeling. And they look different. They look like me, or they might be gay, or they might be drinking all the time or smoking all the time, or they might be doing these things and this and this and this. And they walk into church and the church sees that, and maybe it's just me from what I experienced, but I feel like when I would walk into church, even, like when I first started my relationship, people would see the tattoos and see the way that I was dressed and see how I looked, and I felt like I was getting looks for that. And I feel like in a sense people are in the church are automatically judgy, and I feel like we have to stop that, because even on social media I see it a lot where I'll see my brothers and sisters in Christ who profess that they love Jesus and they have a platform and they speak about how much they love Jesus, but are the same ones that turn around and judge somebody else for the sin that they're living in. Yeah. Just because they sin differently. Right. And I feel like that makes a very bad impression of who Jesus is and misrepresents who Jesus is for people, especially non-believers. And like I have a heart for girls in high school, I have a heart for the non-believers because I was once one of them. Yeah. And I never want to be the one that shuns somebody away from that, simply because I judge them because they sin differently than I do.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the judgment has to stop, and we have to stop judging people just because they sin differently than us.
That's good. That's like real good. Because that's real good. Because people in the church, we've picked out these 2 or 3 big sins. But then when it comes to our sin, we're like, well, sin's sin. It's all equal. Well, if it is, your homosexuality is as bad as my gossip. Your gluttony is as bad as my lust. You know what I'm saying? Like, your fornication is bad as my covetousness. Like, if we're going to talk sin, let's keep the level, that level playing field here together, where it's not this greater and less than kind of thing. It's, you're walking away from the heart of the Lord as much as I am every time we sin.
Yeah.
You're breaking his heart as much as I am. And so let's love each other where we are. Do I condone your sin? No. And I don't want you to condone mine, but I want you to give me grace if I fail. I want you to encourage me if I fail, push me on if I fail, I completely agree.
Another kind of thing that ties into that, and I see a lot of people bringing it up now since Pastor Philip Anthony has talked about it.
Church 2819.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff.
He's so good. But he had preached a sermon on judging righteously, which it is in the scripture where we're supposed to judge righteously. But I feel like people pick apart that verse and only use it when it comes to the sins that they don't agree with. And again, we just have to stop doing that. I feel like they take that verse and they see somebody who sins differently than them, and they're like, you're not doing good enough.
Right.
And they think because it says judge righteously that they have the right to judge because of that one person's sin, but would hate for somebody to turn around on them and start judging their sin.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the judgment we have to stop, and we have to get away from that because it's steering a lot of people away.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. When you get to heaven, who do you want to have a conversation with?
I know it's going to sound cheesy and cliche, but Jesus. Like, I want to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation with him and just be like, so why did you do this? Or why did this happen? Or why? Because I'm a very questionable person. Like, I have questions.
Right.
And I'm also the type of person where I kind of need the answers. Like, there are some things where I can get away with not knowing the answer to, but I need my answers, and I need to know why. So why did you make this person do me wrong? Why did you let this happen? Why did you let this happen? And, like, kind of have those conversations. But again, I would also love... I'm trying to pick, because there's 2 more, but I'm trying to pick between the 2.
You can share both of them.
Okay. Mary, Jesus' mom, like, had, like, getting to, like, her side and her perspective of, like, what was it like him growing up? Like, what was, because obviously in the Bible we hear about Jesus' ministry, but we don't hear about when he was 12. We don't hear about when he was 6. We don't hear about when he was 2 or just a baby.
Right.
Like, we don't hear about those stories. So, like, what was he like as a kid? But also, what was it like watching him be crucified?
Yeah.
Like, that was heavy. It was dark. Probably something you don't want to really
And you're
rehash.
not even a mom yet. So you don't, like, I can imagine.
Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah.
But then also, too, I would love to talk to John.
John the Baptist?
Yeah.
Bro, he's cool.
He had a story, and he died so unfairly. Like, the way he died, and, like, the story of, like, her, like, putting his head on the platter and serving it, like, that is so insane to me. But also want to hear about his ministry and, like, the people he's baptized and the things that he's been through. Like, those are some pretty cool people in the Bible. Like, those are, like, you can't tell me those are...
I mean, there was a girl named Jael in the Bible. She put a tent peg through this guy's head. Like, where? Okay, I want to chill with you for a hot minute. Like, let's just have a conversation.
Like, what?
Yeah.
But also, too, like, I don't know if they would be there, but the Romans who crucified him, like, I don't know where they lie. That's not my place. I didn't make the decision. But if they are in heaven, even though they crucified him, if they are there, I don't know why. I mean,
could be one, because there was one in the Bible that said, hey, like, surely this was the Son of God. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe he is there. I don't know. So, last question for you. We've talked about one person we'd like to talk to in heaven. What is one moment in the Bible that you wish you could have been at? This is my new question that I've been asking people.
Oh, that's
I don't know. The feeding of the 5,000?
yeah.
Oh, I don't remember where he was. I don't remember where he was for the
don't remember.
5,000.
But just to witness that, like be in that moment and watch him do that, and because he takes a loaf of bread and a fish and he feeds 5,000 people with it. He takes so little and makes it so big.
Mm.
And I think that just speaks to who he really is as a person.
Right.
Because he's not, yes, he is God, and he is this omnipresent God who's with us no matter where we are, and he has these things that he wants us to follow, and he gets upset at us when we don't, we know what we're supposed to be doing and we don't.
Yeah.
Like, he is a God, but he's also a man, and a man who loves us so much. And just to witness that and see him take so little, make it so big, it speaks to who he is as a man and as a person and as a father. Because we are his children, and he loves us so much, and he can take so little of your life and make it so big. Like, he can take just this little seed and water it and make it so big. Like, I think that just speaks so highly of who he is as a God and as a person, that he can take the dirt from you and wash it clean, but he can also take the little parts of your life that you, I guess, the little parts of you where you feel like you're shameful of it almost.
Yeah.
And he can expand that and make you worthy and remind you of who you are. I don't know. I think I'm thinking a little too deeper into this, but just having him take so little and make it so big shows who he is.
And that's beautiful, because I've never heard anybody ever say that before. Like, we always talked about the miracle and making it bigger, but we've never talked about he'll take so little and make it so big. Yeah. And so that's beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. I've enjoyed it greatly, and we didn't even cry. I'm so proud of us. I mean, there was a few moments that I was like, okay, hold it in. But, wow, what a beautiful story of redemption. And before we started, we were trying to decide what we wanted to put on here, and you said love never fails, and now I know why, because the love of Jesus has never failed, and it is a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us. And guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it more than you know. I hope that her story has given you hope. I hope that it has given you a moment of remembering the goodness of God in your life. I hope that it has caused you to remember that the love of Jesus never fails, truly never fails. No matter, nothing is ever too big for him. Nothing is ever too dirty. Nothing is ever too small for him, as we ended with that. So thank you so much for joining us here at God's Coffee Call. Again, please like, subscribe, and share this with all of your friends. Maybe you've got somebody that's dealt with some of the same things that she's dealt with. Share this testimony with them as an encouragement to them that life can be so much different. Yes. I love you. I thank you so much. As always, I pray that your coffee is strong and that your heart is full. I will see you the next time. Bye.
Jesus loves you.